Hello? Good evening. Thank you and welcome to CASA's Creative Writing Midyear. I am Ms. Brown, and before we start, I would like to thank Midtown Scholar for allowing us to host our event here. We're very grateful that Midtown Scholar is so open and welcoming, and we encourage each of you to purchase a book, food, or even a shirt. I would like to now welcome our student hosts today, Gabby and Kiara.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Creative Writing's Midyear.
We are your hosts for the evening, Kiara Munoz-Breto
and Gabby Pakiwa. Tonight we have a vast variety of young poets, storytellers, and a few surprises along the way.
Before we continue with our lively show, we kindly ask you to please silence all cell phones so we don't distract our performers. Thank you.
We'd like to inform you that tonight's event will be one that we've never done before, where underclassmen and upperclassmen will not be separated.
To start off our night, our 10th grader Lila Neal will be presenting her piece, The Little Things.
Hello, my name is Lila Neal, and I'm going to be performing my poem, The Little Things. Between you and I, we are the little things. The little drops of rain that fall to the floor, crash against the asphalt like marbles, marbles that seep into the grass and flowers, rejuvenate them. Or the little ladybug that snuck on your leg yesterday, you let it stay instead of flicking it away. And now a creature with an itty-bitty brain can begin to recognize kindness. The little four-leaf clover your friend found on the ground, a sign of luck, makes them feel more safe and sound. The little scales on a fish, which help them to move as they swish and shimmer in the sunlight, gleaming in a way that never fails to astonish. The little moments I spend with you each and every afternoon, they aren't long, but they keep me in tune. The little me feeling small as a pea, the little you looking little too, the little us, little looks bigger in groups of two, the little we, big as little could ever be. But what about the things that aren't so small? The buildings that stack up 100 feet tall. Large they may be, but they don't do much at all. Unlike you and I, with us, great things may befall. Who does do the work is the little souls inside, typing at desks and cubicles, except for one person who is picking at their cuticles. They're having a rough day. Their emotions outsize them. But then their partner calls to say that everything will be okay. A little gesture makes them feel better in a big way. Big things wouldn't be without the little things. No ocean without hydrogen and oxygen particles to make it complete. No pro football team without each individual player to make it elite. No crowd without unique people to meet. Without the little things, big things would be obsolete. You and me are little things, and it would be redundant to say that might make you feel tiny. Yet like an arrow, you are small, but striking, destined to make a huge impact on who or whatever you're aiming for. Somewhere out there, there's a star that's 1 trillion times bigger than you. A star that shines brighter than any human could ever hope to. And you probably think it thinks it's better than you. But it doesn't even know that it exists. And you do.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Selena, and I'll be reading a piece I called The Truth Behind Theory. Being alone. Loneliness can benefit you, but what if it doesn't? Do you stay in silence, or do you show it with pride even if you have no one to tell it to? In some events, there's really no solution to that. All in your ability to do is to accept darkness with invisible shadows, the thoughts in your head that help you to believe. Sometimes truth is hard to find when all you hear can't be claimed as false. The power you hold amongst what you believe can be just a theory, so there's only a number of ways you prove that it's true. You test it for yourself, and you do it alone because trust with people isn't necessary. Knowledge is crucial as it will guide you through and prove that your belief is right. Awareness will just capture the pieces of theory that can be true. Starting a test comes with finding the right time to do it, and it's happening now, to me. Flames of red flash in front of my eyes, and it seems like a truth is awaiting for me behind the elevated buildings that get shorter by the minute from the fire that crawls on them. Transparent windows reveal the inferno that is present inside of the buildings, yet all I do is just stand there observing the mess. This fire looks like hell itself. Would I even need to know if hell is real? The more I stand there and watch, I start to realize how alone I am. There's been no sign of life from anyone else, so help won't be available. But it's not needed. Assistance would take away from the test, and tests are meant to be done alone. I tell myself that another person would just slow me down, and the words that come out of their mouth might just be a belief of theirs that would stop me from what I wish to do. They might tell me, don't jump into that fire. You'll go to hell for doing that to yourself. Some might even say, an afterlife wouldn't be worth it if the ones you love wouldn't have you anymore. But how entitled are people to be so sure that something so hypothetical would be my new life? Though this may lead me to be alone in a way that I could have never imagined, all I want is just to simply find out. Theories made and passed on from all these years, yet so many people have their own invisible shadows that just lead to more questions. Good or bad, evidence is vague, and the only way to find out, and the only way to know what there really is after the end is by experiencing it yourself. And now the question that had roamed through my mind can have a cage put over it once I find out. Taking deep breaths and small steps, I watch as the view of the buildings gets smaller. Heat waves form in front of my eyes and my vision starts to blur. Feeling as if I'm finally in the right place, I stand still and wait until I feel like I'm about to go. The boiling fire crawls upon my body, and the flames strike me, but I don't fight back. All goes black in its moment of unconsciousness, yet I can still hear the crackling of the fire, the sound that may haunt me even now that I'm gone. I feel like I'm falling down a void, but if someone finds me, they won't see that. All they'll see is a decaying girl that couldn't escape. And I still wait for the answer to if life after death is really real, because I don't know if I can still feel. Are these words that I'm thinking, or are my thoughts just invisible because my sight is filled with darkness? I'm now left with no questions, just thoughts that can never be answered. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shane, and today I'll be reading a short story called The Motel. "9 p.m. The asylum, when the Still Pine Lake Asylum had its first successful escape patient in over 300 years, it just so happened to be on the last night of my expeditious affair. 9 p.m. The asylum sirens pierce through the air as a barefoot woman charges across the lawn, her hair messy, sticking to her face as beads of sweat roll down her back. The guards were dressed in dark blue attire. They raided everyone's bunk before pulling out a handmade mannequin head from under a blanket. The guards eye each other in disbelief, realizing their incompetence. A blatantly obvious plan they should have noticed. Across town, I'm on the phone arranging a room at the Still Pine Lake Motel. I have a home with a family, 2 beautiful daughters, and a wife who understand me. But I burden them all with my infidelity. I don't understand why I am this way, but after the night, I'm going to be a faithful husband and father. 9:30 p.m. I say goodbye to my wife with my bowling ball in hand, leaving the house as my wife wishes me luck at my tournament. Pulling into the familiar parking lot, I wait for my date to arrive while listening to the radio. 9:35 p.m. I desperately wonder where my date is, and then it occurs to me that Amy mentioned she didn't have a car. She probably walked here. I didn't have a car when I was in college. I'm just excited to see that she'll be wearing that green dress, the one that makes her hair appear as though it was kissed by flames. 9:41 p.m. A young woman in a green dress is walking towards me, her attention seemingly trying to pull apart a phone to further inspect it. Despite her strange actions, she is beautiful with pretty freckles splattered onto her face and light blue eyes that reflect the color of the sky. But her hair, it was brunette. She was not my Amy. Her eyes bore onto me, chills run down my spine, and I go to turn away. But before I do, she smiles at me. 9:43 p.m. I invite her back to the motel, and she agrees. We enter the building, and her eyes dart back and forth between me and the security guards positioned outside the entrance. I watch as her eyes drop down to his gun. A strange feeling washes over me, but I decide to ignore it. This is my last time I will be able to do something like this. I might as well make the most of it. 9:50 p.m. Inside the room, she looks anxious. I have to leave. I'll be right back. I suppose I left something in the lobby, she stutters. Okay, go right ahead, I reply. A few minutes later, I hear a loud bang that I could only assume was a gunshot. Seconds later, the door burst open and a figure stood between me, covered in crimson blood. I can still hear the screams coming from downstairs. They get closer and closer until they enter the room, accompanied by police officers and the front desk woman, pointing to the blood-stained soaked woman standing in front of me. 10 p.m. At the station, I was questioning about almost everything. I told them everything. About the gunshot, about Amy, about the affair. The police reassured me that everything would be okay and they would contact my wife to make sure I was safe and what happened. That's when an anxious chill went down my spine and I buried my head in my hands and feet. The end.
Hello, I'm Ollie Jones, and it is my pleasure to read my piece titled Perceived Significance. I hope you enjoy. The closest I ever was to an optimist was when I was starry-eyed, prepubescent, and ever wondering. I wandered with reckless curiosity, a child made up of the past. I ran forward with my curiosity carving a path for my ancestors to follow. And when mistakes littered it, I stepped over them like they were just crickets, respecting a small life, but now they're chirping haunts. Perhaps that is the definition of consequences and mistakes of growing. Perhaps it is not, but I've always been stubborn. I'm older now, and mistakes aren't simply things to leave behind. It is a function necessary for evolution, to create bonds, a way to familiarize the unknown. My mistakes were minuscule and necessary, and looking back when the sun is strong, it is easy to forgive the errors of my childhood. When the sun drifts down and the world tones down, they're as loud as the crickets on my windowsill. A cricket by itself is peaceful. It is just a monotonous chirp in the background while your mind drives forward and you can focus. It is not a distraction or obstacle, simply something to bypass, a thought to forget, a sound to ignore. But crickets as a group are hungry for what you cannot give them, attention. Night draws its blood and crickets grow in number and chirps become a command and peaceful becomes a torment. At times like this, I am alone and yet surrounded by everything I have created and demolished to become what I am. I cannot stand crickets, for I cannot think new thoughts when they are near. And only past actions that I thought I left on the earth come back as a sickening echo. Why must it always echo? Why must I always echo? I was a curious child and am now a contemplative teenager, consistently finding myself in the place I began, wondering what I did wrong to end up where I'm not welcome, where crickets sit on my windowsill, always present, always loud, even when I wish them silent and gone. It cannot just disappear, and perhaps maturity is accepting the errors that come up at night, but I've always been immature. Chirping crickets are simply an echo of their ancestors trying to survive and bond and mate, and my mistakes are simply an echo of blood and marrow and thoughts and heart, and I cannot stop thinking that my body was not suited for more than just survival. The chirp is an evolutionary tactic, a combination of past and present and the ticking future. I wonder how crickets stand knowing that they are a amalgamation of mistakes and success, of present and past, of evolution and failure. I wonder how crickets can breathe, knowing that the blood carrying their oxygen is full of mistakes and magnificence, knowing that something as vital as breathing is dependent on blood that shines and rots. I wonder how crickets keep chirping. If I were an optimist, and I would never say that I am, but if I were, an optimist would believe that chirping crickets know their errors, and instead of crying out for exoneration, crickets are simply chirping because they have survived. They did not fall prey to them in a never-ending loop, and they didn't fault their instincts for only knowing what their ancestors knew. Perhaps it is not the instinct of the cricket, but the growth, the acceptance of an unmovable object that makes them loud. Perhaps my utter refusal is what makes them loud. Perhaps chirping crickets are so disturbing because there must have been a point where my ancestors knew and kept on going. Yet I alone hold the weight of acceptance or refusal, for it is the path that I create. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sophia, and I will be presenting my piece, The Painter. The night was damp, the morning dreary, gray clouds masked the sun, drops of water darkened the bricks that made up the streets, a thick wind blows, knocking on each town door. A new day starts. Birds congregate by puddles while people exchange hellos on the sidewalks. The wind blows again, picking up the fresh smell of bread as it passes an open window. A young girl peers out. She watches the day pass, her hands powdered with flour, and she paints the window so white. Colorless white, white is dull. Not to her. Why, with just 5 years on her, white was only the beginning. She looks out the window, looks at her canvas. She's the painter. She's 12 now. Her world is no longer black and white. She learns to ride a bike, although there are many failed attempts. She falls, she paints the sidewalk red. Her cries paint her cheeks blue. She plants a garden with her mom. Purple, yellow, and green are added to her canvas. She watches them grow. The colors grow with her. She's 18 now, and she paints her face, paints it with foundation and blush. Her lips are red as she leaves the house. She hopes to find someone who can share her color, even add to it. And when she does, she takes her heart and gives it to you. It's pure and it's full, and it's just merely a cage, for it holds a smaller heart inside. The heart of a 5-year-old girl. Be careful, you now hold her too. For if you break it, you chip her paint. She is 21 now. You travel with her to fill her canvas, flourish till 50, make it to 70. She's 80 now, and forever 80 she'll remain. She's lived a full life. She's known joy, she's known sadness, known love, known pain. She's known color. But her grave remains white because it is the only thing she could not grasp. A blank canvas. But even through the afterlife, colors collide, creating pastel waves in the sky. She's not really gone. Her color still stains the world. Thank you.
Hello again. My name is Kiara, and my piece is called Ouroboros. Defined as a word that signifies an internal cycle of rebirth and destruction. Time, desire, adoration, and loss. No beginning, no end. The willow tree rotted in my mother's embrace, leaving nothing to keep me warm in winter. No roots to suck up the blood. My eyes are made of glass, thoughtless and pure. I flutter them shut, and I allow my conscience to wane. My mother's thick black forest of hair, and my body adorned solely in miles of pure white lace. The willow tree wilted in response to my vulgarity. I'll scrub myself clean in the river tonight. Father's sacrificial lamb and the human embodiment of indulgence. Here I lay, thoughtless and pure. Our dirt-caked wallpaper is cracking, and so are my lips. I'm wilting without my willow tree. Her roots embedded so deeply beneath my skin, suffocating the veins that course through me. Blessed by the sun, to be plagued by the frost, winter is a time of endless beauty and deepening sadness. Abandoned lawn chairs and squealing teapots, leaves that don't sprout. My hands are cold and my feet are cracking like the ice-glazed riverbeds during the forthcoming of spring. Cut me down and polish me, I can be your diamond. All I ask for is another chance. I climb my frost-stricken willow tree, and with a lump in my throat, I give her one last hug. I snap off her twigs and hack off her branches. A beautiful force of demolition, just like my mother. Blessed by femininity and tormented to uphold the image of virtue. With my fingernails, I uproot my willow tree, and in her dying breaths, she gives me a diamond. Before Yule kissed me goodbye, I met a beautiful stranger. He held me in the snow, those scars littered my skin, and my chrysalis of lace reeked of mud and sorrow. He was the first man to want all of me. I gave him my willow tree's diamond, and with her body, he made us a home. Her tears stain the cement, and my blood drains out of her logs, as her roots that claw inside me decay. I put 2 lawn chairs in the living room and made us a bed of grass. He made carpets that reek of whiskey and cigarettes, look as beautiful as a field of lilies. I plucked a lily and I fell asleep with it laced in my thick black forest of hair. I woke up at dawn the next morning, not beside you on our bed of grass. I woke up alone, embracing a rotten willow tree. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Crow, and I will be presenting a piece that is a mix between a personal memoir and a spoken word. Outside the box. Ever since I was little, I struggled with social cues and presenting myself in an acceptable way to the eye. One problem I've always had is that I'm a loud talker. I do not even realize I'm so quiet half the time. In my head, I hear myself at a normal tone. I still remember one year, when I was probably around the age of 6 or 7, my aunt gave me a toy microphone for my birthday. One of those you can sing into and it amplifies your voice. I loved it so much when I first opened it, but then, almost immediately, after she said to me, "I got it, so maybe you'll speak louder and we can all hear you." Then everyone laughed. I never told anyone, but that shattered me. I felt small and humiliated. From then on, I hated that microphone. To this day, I still hate that memory because I still struggle with the volume of my voice. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with an auditory processing disorder, also known as APD. This means I cannot always separate the words in a conversation, especially if there's additional background noise. For example, if you said to me, "Can you please hand me the salt?" I may hear, "Can you please brand me the vault?" Doesn't make any sense at all, does it? If you've interacted with me before, you probably had me ask you to repeat what you said once or twice, or 3 times, or 4 times. No, this has nothing to do with my actual hearing. It's specifically how my brain receives what my ears hear. APD also affects the way my body processes sensory information, such as seeing, smell, taste, touch, and of course, hearing. This sometimes means I can get easily overstimulated since my body can feel like it gets bombarded with a sensory overload. After I was diagnosed, things began to make a little more sense to me. I started to understand why I act and think the way I do. This disorder actually helped me become more confident in myself. I don't usually talk about this side of my identity since it can be hard to explain. I've learned to come to terms with the label neurodivergent. Being neurodivergent in a neurotypical world seems impossible sometimes. The world is not designed for you. It is like trying to fit a cube through a circle opening. It just doesn't work. No matter how many accommodations or how much you try to mold that cube into a sphere, it will still not ever be a perfect fit. What is even more frustrating is people are constantly doubting you. They think it is so easy. What they don't understand is how it feels like the walls are closing in on you when there is too much noise, when your social battery is completely drained and no one notices and they just keep on talking. Not knowing how to properly make eye contact because apparently too much means I want to kiss the person, not enough means I'm indifferent. People are constantly taking your words out of context, what is the complete opposite of what you meant. No one understands the constant exhaustion of making notes in my mental notebook. What is socially acceptable? What is not? Always hoping and worrying that I can remember it all. Being the friend that is good enough to be around, but not good enough to hang out with. I know being around me can require a lot of patience, since I can be slow to catch on to things. It is not my fault I cannot translate your illegible Morse codes of signals and symbols. I know I am annoying at times. I annoy myself. Constantly having to keep a mask on for other people's comfort is exhausting. The worst is feeling comfortable with someone to peek out from behind that mask a bit, just for them to judge. It is an endless cycle of judgment and confusion. You can give me endless amounts of encouragement and reassurance about how I'm doing all right. But it will not change the person who treats me like a baby, no matter how old I get. Just learn, they say. The problem is I have been learning, for as long as I can remember. Yet, I always seem to mess up at exactly the wrong time and ruin everything. It feels like the world is just one big joke that I'm not in on. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Louisa, and I'm going to be reading a piece called Vicarious. No coming of age, girl next door rom-com I watched when I was 11 could ever have prepared me for an obsession like this. A delayed emotion that seemed to join my life instantaneously. Yearning to be in his arms, to walk by his side, to be encircled by his essence. Aimlessly, he loiters in my otherwise empty mind. I used to wonder how long I'd have to linger, waiting for your call. But after a while, I deconstructed the ticking clock surrounding me. The only real time that passes is time spent with him. Unrequited teenage longing replaces my conscience and slowly becomes all that consumes me.
Hi, my name is Ariana, and I'm going to be reading my piece, Love Like Mine. I crave you as my lungs crave air, as fish craves water, as the sun craves the moon. I think about you all the time. Tell me, do you think about me too? Would you open your chest to give me your heart if I needed it? You wouldn't, because you don't love me like I love you. You couldn't. You couldn't ever love anything the way I love you. I have a love that will kill me in the end. A love that will rip out my soul and hand it to you on a nice silver platter. A love that will take my all and never be enough. A love that will leave me impoverished because I have given you all that I have. What will happen when you leave? Will I be a shell of nothing, waiting for the empty feeling to pass, waiting for something to fill the void of my brokenness? Maybe I will be the void, and I will inflict my pain upon others to numb the hurt you caused me. I'll turn into the villain I could never see myself as, going against my morality and what I thought was right. Is this what you wanted of me? A frantic display of my hurt in front of all of my loved ones. I'll turn into a hideous monster and push everyone away. Is this what you wanted of me? Is this what you would have wanted from me? To growl and bite, to snarl and drool disgustingly like a mangy, abandoned dog? I see your look of disdain, the look of defeat toward my insatiable anger. I understand now. I was right. You couldn't. So aggressively eager to depress the feelings of hurt, sorrow, and need for love, to put up a facade of hatred toward every human, just to cover up the feelings of the one that hurt me. I crave you like a wolf stalking under the moon's luminescence craves its prey. Like an innocent gazelle craves the peace from its natural predator. Tell me what you want me to be. Tell me what you crave me to be. Shall I be innocent and graceful, or a domineering beast with a crimson-dipped bite? I will love you like a wolf loves ripping apart an innocent rabbit. I don't know when to stop. When your soft, fuzzy skin is clenched between my canines, and my cerise lips are stained with your revolting vermilion guts, tell me, will you still think you have a love like mine?
Hello, I am Farida Musa, and I will be reading my piece named Blood-Stained Fingers. May I sew my name into your flesh, pierce it with my finger, unravel your skin, feel your blood trickle down my palms as my anxiety wears thin. Reveal it all to me, your plain white bones, the traces of your spine, a sculpted stone. Allow my flames to ignite that withering heart. Let it blaze through each ventricle, incinerate every part of what has rotten away, and destroy the led astray. Perhaps your wandering eyes and soiled hands, or that tainted body that won't ever just be mine again. Or should I let my fingers dig past your ribs and cradle your decaying heart? Feel its slow ache in my hands, its dance now just another fading part. I'll steal it once and for all, and store it away, perhaps in my own chest. I have room for two, a place reserved for you, but now your waning heart will make do. Each kiss you left on my skin, now repainted in shades of midnight. Your creative canvas, now just my body, splattered in shades of resentment and spite. Your colors have left me, the brown of your eyes, the pink of your lips, the white of your smile, rendering me blankly. But traces of you still linger, your heart in my chest, your brand on my soul, and your blood staining my fingers. Thank you.
For the next portion of the show, we would like to welcome to the stage Denaya Royster and Isis Braxton, who will be performing an impactful piece discussing the hardships of living under the lens of white America.
Fun fact, Denaya and Isis are well accomplished. Denaya is an award-winning poet.
And Isis is a published poet who continues to produce awesome works.
Speaking of publishing, did you know that all of the underclassmen writers are going to be published by the end of the year?
Woo! That's fantastic! Well, looks like we're out of time. You got this, guys.
Can you hear me?
It's part of the bit. Great. Can you guys hear me? Hi, my name is Denaya Royster.
I'm Isis Braxton, and today we're reading a piece titled Under White America's Eye. To be black, to be a woman, to be a black woman under white America's eye.
Forced to pledge allegiance to a country that's never been for us.
As we're thrown under the lens where white America comfortably places its eye.
Like a specimen left to be studied or put on display.
Lives magnified and altered according to how you see fit.
as we're pushed into a box of stereotypical culture painted by the blood, sweat, and tears of our people.
To be black, to be a woman, to be a black woman under white America's eye. To be black is to be ruthless with unwavering strength. Never complain, remain endlessly grateful for the things our ancestors never had. Be resilient. I once read a quote that said, "Laugh in the face of adversity." But when I go to laugh, there is no sound, for my voice has been silenced. Silenced by Uncle Sam's generous finger, for he has plenty of judgment to go around. To be black, to be a woman, to be a black woman under white America's eye.
To be a woman is to be grateful for how good you have it. Be a perfect woman. Keep your hormones in check. Ignore your feelings, laugh at a sexist joke, don't speak, just smile and nod. Be a feminist, but not today's feminist, but never say it out loud, just think it. Be the standard, submit to society's will, because to be a woman is to be submissive.
To be black, to be a woman, to be a black woman under white America's eye. To be a black woman is to be left up for interpretation. As our black men lift us up, just for us to be treated low. Worship black queens, they say, yet they treat us like objects and cast us to the side. For this isn't just a fight where white America holds the gun, but our black men aim it. We cannot and shall not catch a break. Is this what we're made for? Made to be torn down, ripped up, and put back together in a gruesome cycle that only we have to deal with. To be black, to be a woman, to be a black woman under white America's eye.
To be a black woman is to be judged constantly and consistently. Flaws illuminated by quotes created by the ideology that we as black women should be dolls. Be perfect role models guiding the next generation for the seemingly never-ending cycle. Perfect girls, perfect women, perfectly pretty and silent, if you even are pretty with today's standards. Perfectly poised, regal, and stern, but not too stern that they think you're aggressive. To be a black woman is to be the typical black.
To be black, to be a woman, to be a black woman under white America's eye.
Forced to pledge allegiance to a country that's never been for us.
As we're thrown under the lens where white America comfortably places its eye.
Like a specimen left to be studied or put on display.
Lives magnified and altered according to how you see fit.
As we're pushed into a box of stereotypical profiling and unwarranted acts.
To be black,
to be a woman,
to be a black woman under white America's eye.
Thank you, Anaya and Isis, for that inspirational piece. It is now intermission.
Go grab a snack, a drink, and possibly a book to support our lovely venue, Midtown Scholar. And we look forward to introducing the next half of the show. Enjoy intermission. We're back to introduce the bright minds and talent of our creative writers. We want to thank you all again for spending your Tuesday night with us. We're so grateful to have you.
Now, we will be presenting The Mystery of the Crown, an interactive skit fully written by our big group of writers. We hope you enjoy. Pause. Another side note. Back row, there's a sideway right there. If you could keep that as, clear as possible for safety reasons, I would love that and we would enjoy that. Thank you.
This is a comedy sketch written by Anel, Frida, Bailey, and myself, Lilia. We are writers, not actors, and this is the product of that. All right, last time we did this, somebody spoiled the ending.
I did not spoil the ending. I knew I would be a great beef.
And
I didn't want to lie.
And ruined the game by announcing you were the murderer the entire time.
But that's deceitful.
All right. These are your characters. detector cards. I texted each of you, so please do not ask to change your character. You've already had your chance.
Of course, you're always a detective.
I don't want to play this! We always play this! We did this only once last month. The objective of the game is for the detective, Detective Bond, to find the perpetrator of the game. In this case, a crown has been stolen from Queen Victoria. We have 10 minutes to find the criminal and put them behind bars. Our suspects are the daughter of Queen Victoria,
You can refer to me as the queen.
Penelope Windsor, the current crime lord, Tony Tortellini, and the esteemed castle barista, Todd, who was there during the night of the theft. With your help and my expertise, this should be a piece of cake. Get into character, everybody. Do you mind if I record this? What was your relationship like with your mother, Victoria? Penelope?
I'm sorry, I can't understand you without your accent.
Last time, I'm not doing an
literally
accent.
said you
I always
were-
sound stupid with my accent. So why would I do an accent if I always sound dumb?
You always sound dumb. That's a little accent.
Penelope, what was your relationship with your mother, Victoria?
She was... We might have. I'm not quite sure how to say.
What do you mean?
Well, I love my mother dearly, but some might say she's always been envious of my beauty.
You might say.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
Oh, I see what this is now.
Is something wrong?
That old wench set you up to this, did she not?
Is that how you feel about your mother? The mother of Britain?
It's all coming together now.
I don't understand.
She feels humiliated that people know her own blood is more beautiful than she is. She seeks to have me imprisoned so I won't be the queen, the rightful heir to the throne.
So only those true in beauty are allowed to rule. Stealing the crown. Stealing the crown would put power in your hands, which means this could be a way to steal the throne from your mother.
If law enforcement goes around arresting women just because they're pretty, then... Well, I guess only I would be arrested, but still! Society will suffer not having someone to look up to. I am guilty of nothing besides being glamorous and one of a kind. Then all of you... And if you dare to imprison me, then all of your daughters will be pimply and red. These accusations are as baseless as they are absurd. There is no evidence besides the envy skewed across your ugly faces.
Sure. Next. This should be fun. Do you mind if I record this?
Actually,
what you say really doesn't match on recording either way. What do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Criminal?
the name is Tony I can't believe this stereotypical discrimination. Of course you blame the ex-criminal. Why? Because of the striped jumper, or one little mistake, or 2 or 3 in a felony? I demand social justice for this mistreatment.
This case seems to be coming to a quicker close by the second. Mr. Criminal?
Ex-criminal?
Right. Ex-criminal? I mean, if you stole once and committed some other unknown crimes, then why should anyone expect you not to commit a crime again?
To be judged like this is a wound to my heart, my very pride. Prison cells and violence isn't who I am. I won't be defined by my register as a wanted criminal. I am ex-criminal. I've worked so hard to turn my life around, and it was only possible by finding my real passion in life.
And what passion would that be? Money laundering? Gambling? Crochet! The bougie of the sewing world. Are you serious right now?
Very.
Okay, well, crochet, that's interesting.
Don't underestimate the skill it takes to create masterpieces such as this. With my delicate touch, I whip up creations of beauty and dignity. I even won the first place prize in the annual Felon Crochet Display circa 2023.
Crochet for felons.
Don't act so shocked. The truth is, I'm just a big softie. I may have stolen a few things, an apple from the grocer, a package from the post office, a diamond from King Tut's tomb, but those things are all in the past. Except for the ring. My ex-wife still wears that one, that crazy mother.
Next! I'm recording this.
Okay.
Let's get straight to the point. You were the only person at the crime scene, yet you claim to have nothing to do with the crime?
Yeah.
Is it true that you are Queen Victoria's favorite coffee connoisseur?
Sorry. No, I'm Todd.
Right. And with being such, you were close with the Queen?
What are you trying to say right now? We were never close. I mean, sometimes our fingers would graze when we gave her our coffees in the morning, and our hearts would skip a beat in unison. Our eyes would linger on each other's just for a second. What? Oh, okay, so baristas make coffee.
Are you able to tell me anything relevant to the case? It would help you.
No.
If you didn't witness anything and you claim to have not committed the crime, then what were you doing that night?
What are you saying to me right now? I can't understand you when you talk so loudly.
Are you listening?
Who is listening? I am Todd! I gave him a personality.
Well, Todd, if you fail to answer these questions in full, then you are liable to conviction. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Whatever. All three suspects have been questioned. Who do you think committed the crime? Feel free to call them out.
Guys, what the heck?
I have the ground. It's mine now. You three, get that criminal. I'll stop being the detective.
Wait, what?
Hello again. You just can't get rid of me. How are you all feeling tonight? That's great, that's great. Can I get a round of applause for that show? Well, while I'm waiting on my assistant.
I'm on my way.
Yeah. Gabby!
Hey, it takes a lot.
Come on, Pookie.
Phew, that was quite the workout, but they didn't catch me.
This crown is mine.
That's a felony in most states, you know.
Yeah, but they'll never prove it.
Anyway, let's keep this moving. We'd like to welcome to the stage Shannon.
Hi, my name's Shannon. I'll be reading a fictional piece titled In the Palm of a Giant. Here's the view. One of those landscapes you'd find in a romantic painting. Pink skies, blue mountains, the sun spread over rolling clouds in a new horizon. And beyond that summer scene lies the ocean, and beyond that ocean lies the world, and beyond that lies anything beyond that of your imagination. I was born to a free spirit, a master of seas, and to mountains, my second mother. I think some little girls are born with their hands around the earth before they realize it's much too big to carry, but for a moment, she can hold it and the whole world is hers. But when the world was mine, I didn't want to let it go. I wanted to feel dirt beneath my nails, moss, the patchy spots of wet grass, and whatever was making that god-awful smell. I wanted mountain rain streaming through my fingers and mud settled in my palms. I wanted life itself to flow through me, within me, without me, so my mother, my second mother, the mountains, a giant, leaned in and told me a secret. The world couldn't belong to a girl, just as a girl couldn't belong to the world, but they could be one within each other and make a smaller thing a little bigger. My sister calls it folk talk. She tells me they're just mountains, that there's no such thing as giant, there's no such thing as fairy tales, and if there ever were, there sure as hell weren't any now. She says that a lot, sure as hell. I want to tell her there's nothing so sure about hell, and if I'm guilty of folk talk, she's my accomplice. But she's memorized a page of the Bible, though she can't remember which one, and she believes the only thing beyond the world is death. Or rather, life? Another chance at life, and she was sure as hell of it. I love folk talk. I love the way giants' backs fold over mountains and their hands ball up into fists at the base of the cliffside. The way the falls seep into rivers, flowing to the hum of the ocean, greeted by the harbor, ships spread across, reaching past the horizon. I remembered those ships. I remember the way my father lifted me up to the helm when I was a little girl and my fingers barely reached the notches. He'd say, "Out there's a whole sea and ain't none of it yours." But that don't mean you can't dip your toes in. And I wondered if he'd been born to the sea as I'd been born to the mountains. If he'd ever held the world in his hands, too much to carry, too afraid to let it go, and if the sea had leaned in close and told him a secret. No matter how much of the world he laid eyes on, none of it could belong to him, just as he could never belong to it. But they could be one within each other and make a smaller thing a little bigger. My father, master of seas, and ain't none of it his. I think some little girls are born expecting wings, wings to see the whole world. Nobody tells her that little girls aren't feathered, that little girls are anchored to the soil at their feet. They promise her she'll soar, that she'll live through her whole life thinking she flies, with every leap a little lower than the last, wondering why her fingers never brush the sky, wondering why her hands feel empty, wondering where the world went when she held it for a moment. So tonight I'll lay among the giants and sing with them their song. We'll drink mountain rain with cupped hands, save the sun that spills through my fingers, and eat only when the sun comes back again next morning. I'll skip stones across what lies spawned tomorrow and be grateful for the smaller things. And my second mother, the mountains, will lean in and tell me a secret. This is what it is to be one with the world one with me, and as one within each other, to have the world in the palm of your hands, sitting in the hands of a giant. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Key. This is my piece. I've been trying to stay in the present. It makes me think about how you can stare into the abyss of the sky and pick out a pinprint of a star. You realize that that star was around millions of years ago. You realize that the star saw the dinosaurs, wailing, roaring, awesome dinosaurs, experiencing life in the prehistoric present. And you're not the dinosaurs, and it's not the past, but you're seeing the star, and that has to count for something. It makes me think about the millions of people whose lives I don't know about. It makes me wonder how many people have existed in the world and never made a dent. How many millions of people looked at the stars, and how many millions of stars have looked at those people. How many stars we've looked at together. I'm not those people, but we've seen the same stars, and I think that has to count for something. The past is millions of fireflies in a neighborhood where every house belonged to me once. There's things my family still tells me that I used to do that I never knew I did. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about the little girl I used to be, like I'm not still that little girl. Sometimes I catch myself wishing I could still be that little girl that thought every light must be a fairy and every house must be forever. I used to catch fireflies in the streets, running around with my pink plastic bug net,
I used to be afraid to hold them in my hands because I dreamt once that the lightning and lightning bugs really meant fire, and if I touched one, then everything would be over. So I'd hide in my house and stare out the window as tiny pinpricks flickered yellow gold. Sometimes I catch myself wishing I could catch myself and hold on. The past is a million little pinpricks. It makes me think about the sky, the millions of stars that I can't see during the day that pop out at night and reach their little hands out to pluck the hairs from my head. Just enough to annoy me, but not enough to make me remember them. The future feels like dim lamplights glowing with the moth-drawing fever of the sun. It feels like a street that stretches for miles and a sidewalk caked in smudgy chalk daydreams and buildings that all look the same. It feels like man-made lights that drown out the stars and claustrophobic canopies of overgrown skyscrapers. It feels like a home that I've made out of a tiny apartment and a half-baked dream. And I always thought, I can't go home to some place that doesn't have fireflies or stars, but sometimes you have to think that the fireflies and the stars will find you even when you can't see them there. The future is a million little pinpricks that I don't think I can see, which makes me think about fireflies, which makes me want my little pink bug net. It makes me want to catch and hold the burning, vibrant lights that bumble around in the empty night air, to ignore the static shocks on my hands, to feel the light on my skin. I've been trying to stay in the present, but I don't think I know what the present is. I think the present must be darkness. With its quiet air of mystery and creeping sense of fear, it must be the cold that settles on my skin when the sun goes down and the sky turns misty ultramarine and the birds go silent. It must be the absence of fireflies and starlight and the acceptance of nothing and everything. It must be my hands grasping around in the abyss. The present must be me. The present must be now because that's all that I'll ever have, and it has to be me because me is all I'll ever know. The present is this little girl swinging her pink bug net wildly, recklessly catching nothing and feeling everything. Or maybe the present is a burning, all-consuming light, a fire that won't go out. Maybe the present feels like sunbeams on your skin that disappear once you feel them, like fireflies that flicker out once you hold them, and maybe the present explodes like a fiery supernova with every moment that passes, and you're left tossed around in the beautiful shockwaves of something you don't understand. And I've realized that staying here means staying in the dark, afraid, standing still. I've been trying to stay in the present, but I don't think the present is somewhere you can stay. I think the present is something you miss, and I think the present is ever-changing, forever different, and I think I want to become a star. I think I want to become a firefly. I think I want to hang in the abyss of the sky among every microscopic pinprick, and I want to become my past, and I want to become my future, and I want to stare into the abyss of myself and pick out pinpricks of stardust and lightning and fire, and always be this uncomfortable and confusing and in-between.
Okay. Hello! My name is Isabella, and I will be reading a piece called Callista, inspired by the French ballet, Coppelia. I hope you enjoy. You worship her as if she were Galatea. You worship her as if she will eventually come to life and be your wife. You track her calculated mechanical floettes as she proudly rotates on the perfect pedestal you placed her on. Your hands caress her cold, colorless figure in a desperate attempt to make her as warm as you. Her porcelain face reflects the spotlight's glow and echoes the warmth of your smile. Her pirouettes mesmerize anyone who gazes upon her. I guess that's why you got lost in her movements. Or maybe her lavender eyes. I see how your worry is immediately alleviated with a simple glance at her eyes. She stares at your loving eyes and smiles, but not for you. It's a jab at me. She knows you never look anyone in the eye. She knows she has achieved something I, your lover, cannot achieve. Why has this lifeless ballerina captured your being? For hours upon hours, you speak of her as if she were the only woman in the world. A music box is missing its ballerina, you would joke at any mention of her beauty and grace. How I wish you could compare me to something as beautiful as that. Her whitish blonde hair, soft in color, reminds you of a dream, much different than the nightmare of my abyssal black hair. Her existence is nothing but endless elegance and perfection, much different than the stumbling and mistakes in my way through life. And I could go on and on because you go on and on. Where I have nothing, she has everything. She has every moment of your attention, every thought in your brain, every second of all your days. So go on. Tell me the tale you always tell when you wind up her music box. Tell me as she smugly spins while the words dance out of your mouth. I love her to an extent. She's my best friend after all. But we all know you would exchange me for her in a heartbeat if this were a waltz. Thank you.
Hi. My name is Dakota, but my friends know me as Ray. And this poem is inspired by my own quote, "You're a wall, so I guess it's time to put up mine." And the title is called Walls and Bombs. I would talk to you all day. I would hug you. I would paint you with so many beautiful, vibrant colors. I would tear away at my skin just for your color to come back. I never wanted you to be chipped or for your color to fade away. I didn't care whether I used my tears or my blood. I just wanted you to be okay. And I bet you wanted the same for yourself. No matter how much I kicked you, punched holes into you, and cried to you, you didn't move. I tried to reconstruct, build, and even tear you down myself, but still, you stayed still. Walls don't talk, but the voices inside sure do. I tried to leave you, but like all walls, you built a house around me, like a home. I felt so at home, so I let you close in on me, only for you to collapse. Again, and again, and again. I couldn't handle it. All of the built-up emotions, feelings, and memories clashed together like a bomb, ticking, waiting for you to drop me again. For once I do fall, just for you to drop me. Not only will I explode into a plethora of emotions, but you will explode as well. Dead, demolished, walls and bombs. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Jashawn and I'm a CASA senior. This is my piece, Trapped Inside. Begin in 3, 2, 1.
Scream! Open your mouth out, let the sound out. Ready and scream. Release it until you feel your throat cut. Do it until your mind blacks out. Do it until your eyes roll to the back of the head. You can feel the final tap out. Scream! Hunt down your emotions, expel them from your body. Scream! Let your shriek be heard as a melody. Scream! A long, loud, piercing cry experiencing extreme emotion or pain. Scream! Not in silence, don't hide this. Scream until your vocal cords swell, until you feel you have laryngitis. Scream! Do it until words will bend to your will, when it takes your breath away and make you kneel. Scream! Now recall a time when you felt you'd become a mime. There were no words you could find. Release that familiar sound, let it escape from your mouth. Ready, and scream.
Hi, my name is Vaso, and I will be performing a piece I call Forgotten in Blood and Steel. I stumbled back into the masonry behind me and fell to the ground. My head slumped forward against my breastplate, clanging as my jaw made contact. My whole body ached with pain as bent pieces of armor bore into my skin and shattered bones are held in place with bent remains of my armor. The warmth of flowing blood covered every inch of my skin. The pounding of my heart filled each ear, rhythmically and everlasting. I focused on each and every thump to keep from succumbing to the death's ever-tempting grasp. A small chuckle filled the blood-soaked walls. A woman donned in ironclad armor coated in blood began stepping forward. "When will you learn?" she scoffed. Stopping in front of me, she knelt down and placed her hand on my bleeding cheek. She brought her head at a level at which her eyes could meet my own. A thick mixture of blood and spit flowed from my mouth onto her hand. Her brow furrowed with a look of disgust. Trash will always be trash. Wiping her hand in my hair, she pulled it away and left the dimly lit room. I lay there, still and forgotten and broken. A living corpse rotting in its own filth, waiting for a death that will never come. I've been broken beyond repair and left to die a never-ending death. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Corinne Lawson. I am in 12th grade and I will be reading my poem, As She Laid Me. My body navigated through the fields of people as they towered over me. Like an ant in the soil, swift and nimble, I threaded through the grass blades that were their knees. I had an urgency. To cure refuge on the couch, my mission was to find solace away from their treacherous laughters that assaulted my senses. Slipping from the crowd, I nestled into the corner of the cushions, burrowing myself further into the dirt, finding peace amongst the lost things. Fatigue had weighed me down, not only my eyes, but my aching heart and soul too. Suddenly she, a gentle guardian, gracefully scooped me up, enveloping my frail bones in the embrace of her arms, pressing me close to her breast. I surrendered to this feeling of weightlessness as my legs were lifted to the sky and soot and grime were brushed off of me. Her rhythmic heart guided us, singing me a lullaby as we ascended the stairs. With each step, the chill of cold air drew closer and pierced my skin whilst the ambient lights receded. The once warm orange gleam visible through my closed eyelids transformed into a crisp blue gloom. It was terrifying, but her body shielded me. Fear dissolved away and I was being wrapped up in a cocoon of safety. She stretched me out over the bed with tender care. The residual drool was left clinging to her chest, yet she did not wipe it away. She softly placed her lips against my forehead, a final whisper of affection before leaving me in the darkness. However, it was soothing. In a way, the light never actually left. Traces of it still lingered amidst the craft beneath the door. I could still hear their muffled laughter from downstairs, but their laughter wasn't scary this time. It was reassuring. Reassuring that their party will continue when I am gone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Della. I'm going to be reading to you a short story I titled Snap. In the middle of the first grade, my mother enrolled me in Catholic school. I hated wearing skirts every day, something I'd once only tolerated for Sunday service. I hated the itchy, monogrammed cardigans that didn't stop my fingers from turning white after mornings in the chapel. I hated singing in the choir and always being just a beat behind the other girls. But most of all, I hated Sister Angelica. She'd always been more of a warden than a teacher, even though her inmates were 6-year-olds. I remember closing my eyes for my nightly prayers and seeing her face in the darkness. She was the closest thing to the image of God my little mind could conjure. Her presence demanded respect and fear. Even though I kept my head down for most of my school career, I did get on her bad side just once. We'd been practicing our handwriting. Sister Angelica guided us through the curves and dips of the letter A. She scanned the rows of desks, her eyes like a cat's, hunting for our mistakes. I followed her instructions intently, eager to please, even then. Still, her eyes paused when they reached me. Violet, please step up to the blackboard. She hadn't raised her voice. Those words were enough. Every girl in that classroom craned their necks like vultures to face me, eyes filled with bloodthirsty anticipation. I gripped my worn wooden desk like a lifeboat, praying for a miracle. None came. I stood up carefully, pushed my chair in, lingered on my desk for just a moment. Then I walked forward. Yes, sister, I said when I approached the blackboard. I noticed then how she towered over me. To my relief, she handed me a stick of chalk. Show the class your handwriting, dear. Was that it? I couldn't help but smile when I took it from her. I put the chalk to the blackboard and snap! I yelped and she ripped my hand away. The chalk fell from my fingers and hit the floor. My eyes stung, my mouth dried up. I'd never been hit before, not like that. I looked up to see Sister Angelica with a ruler in her hand. It glinted like a well-sharpened blade. Try again, dear. Try again. I turned back to my classmates. I pleaded with my eyes, help me. There was no air in the room. No one reacted. They knew better. I was on my own. I bent down to pick up the chalk from the ground. It slipped from my fingers twice before I lifted it, and snap! I watched it fall from my hand again and splinter into a million white pieces. Let thy left hand know not what thy right hand doest. This was from the Bible. I knew that well enough, but I couldn't understand. The sister held out another piece of chalk. In the second it took to reach my hand out, the ruler came down again and snap! Didn't your mother teach you not to use the devil's hand? Shame rose in my throat, burning me from the inside out. I looked down at my hands, turned them over, studied them. My left, the hand my mother taught me to write with, the same hand she guided over each curve and edge of the alphabet until I could write with my eyes closed. I looked to my right. It had the same fingernails, the same ridges at each knuckle, the same freckles dusted like stars. One hand was skin soft and clean as first snow. The other was unblemished, save for 3 red lashes. I reached out with my right hand, gripped onto the chalk like a toddler would with the hem of their mother's dress. I started the A again. No ruler came. I looked at the sister, and this time she smiled. I had her blessing. Good. Now keep going until I tell you to stop. So I made my way down the alphabet, feeling every pair of eyes like tiny little daggers stabbing into my back. But when I wrote the final letter, my classmates went out to recess, and Sister Angelica didn't say a word. I started over, A, B, C, until the muscle memory slipped through my fingers, shattered like chalk.
Hello, I'm back again. I'm Gabby Pakiwa, and I will be presenting Love. Love is in the air, finding its way into my body with every breath that I take, traveling through my veins, burrowing itself deep inside my heart. And when you're around, it feels like I'm home. Your laugh and how it dances on my skin, it soothes my soul. Your smile and all of its effortless beauty. The way you talk about your passions with such ease. The way your eyes look into mine so softly, with such sparkle, the stars themselves will be jealous. But more importantly, I value your strength. Through thick and thin, no matter what was happening, no matter who left me, no matter how much I pushed you away, no matter how much I hated you, you stayed. You stayed. I never want to imagine a world without you. A lonely, desolate place without your spontaneity, your stubbornness, your loyalty, your love, your light. I can finally say it loud and say it proud, that I love you and everything that comes with you. Your flaws, your awkwardness, your beauty, the good and the bad. I can't wait to spend the rest of my days with you. See you every day, spend each day side by side. All that is needed is a mirror. A mirror to see the person that I never truly loved before, never truly understood, to see what I could not, to see my beauty, to see my flaws, to love what makes me, me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Sophia Lasala, and this is my piece titled 5 Years. We often push away those that we love, not realizing that one day they've been gone for 5 years. Sadness steals every ounce of my endearment, tainting my pure, bright love. 5 years without you. It's been 5 years, and I no longer hear your voice when trying to think of you. I no longer hear your angelic laugh ringing in my head. Insurmountable grief shadowed over my heart, turning the thumps into broken beads. I've spent hundreds of moments hoping you would show up to magically wipe my tears while my fingers corrode and turn to dust. Calling out for you while balled up on my bedroom floor with mascara blackening my eyes, drowning in a sea of tears. I was too young to lose you. Too young to be torn away from the memories we could have made. I've spent too long reflecting, wishing we got more time, wishing I saw you other than the holidays. Sometimes the smell of your old house creeps its way into my surroundings. I smell the built-up dust, and I hear the static of the old television. I see your pink tiled bathroom and your collections of porcelain dolls. I know your memory was faulty, so I'd never hold it against you for not remembering. But I still have the doll in the purple dress you gifted to me. As a child, I loved her. No one had ever gifted me something so beautiful, something that kept my eyes lingering on it. 5 years ago, I put her away in a box, stuffing it in the back of my closet. I no longer adore it, no longer love looking at it because the memories are too salty, too blue to ever consider bittersweet. 5 years ago, our family cracked into different pieces. We all changed and blossomed into incompatible individuals. 5 years ago, we all became painfully aware that you were the only string connecting us together, holding us from slipping away. I remember walking into your 4 white-walled hospital room for the last time. I stood at the edge of your bed, love pouring out of my eyes, no longer being reciprocated. To you, I was just a strange girl, a girl you never held as a baby or hugged when she would only visit you on the holidays. I remember that being the last time I saw you. I remember my mom calling me and my sister into the living room one hazy summer morning. I remember being told my father was in that torturous hospital room for most of the night. I remember my world being torn apart, my beating heart shattered. I remember expecting the loss but never preparing for the pain it would cause. I remember the burning of my face as tears stained my crimson red cheeks. I remember the way my lips quivered and the way my body collapsed into my mother's arms. I remember putting on my black shirt and piling into a car with my family as we drove 6 hours. 6 hours I had to prepare myself for the final goodbye. The goodbye I wish I could have had weeks before. I remember seeing people laugh and celebrate your life. I remember wishing I could have been happy, wishing my laughs could have been genuine. After all, I only saw you on the holidays. And now, 5 years later, 5 years older, and 5 years wiser, I've tried to subside the feelings, forget them, and push them as far away as I can. But 5 years later, I still resent the empty hole in my heart. 5 years later, and I'm still the same girl longing for the words, "It's going to be okay," as I melt into my bedroom floor. 5 years later, and I still hold the grudge of never getting a proper goodbye. Poisons left in my open wound, dressing the gash. The familiar face, now just an echo in my memory, taunts the once unforgettable but now lost eyes. The bridge of light and memory illuminates as one becomes none. It breaks off in the middle of the night after all are gone. We try to rewrite our haunted memories, but all that comes out are plagiarized lies. Unfamiliar feelings rewritten to sound like stars in light. I will try to rewrite your story until the ending feels right. I will try, even if it takes another 5 years. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bailey Bankus, and this is my piece, Letter to My Future Self. Dear future self, how old are you when you read this? Maybe you're in your 20s, fresh out of college, getting the first taste of raw living, gritty and terrifying in a curious way. Or maybe you're having a midlife crisis. In your 50s, delving deep into your antique writing documents, looking for answers through the cobwebs. Or maybe you're old and looking back on life, looking over me, wondering about me just as I am you. I hope I look like my Grammy when I'm older, aging sweetly and with a smile. I think the gray will suit my hair. Dear future self, I don't really write letters like this because I don't trust myself to keep them sacred. I know I will check this document every month to be sure of my written words and to attempt to reflect on things that I haven't had enough time to reflect on properly. I will memorize the phrases and copy them in my journal over and over so that I do not have time to forget and I stay the same person and never change from my high school self. I know that sounds unhealthy. Dear future self, high school sucks. I'm sure you remember. I'm just glad that if this is being read, it proves that I get through this, that I will overcome and conquer. Just let me get through college admissions first. Dear future self, I've taken more note of the weather lately. I can feel the seasons changing without the view out the window or the snow on the ground. It's like a drying of my bones, a sucking of my flesh as it gets cooler and cooler. Winter is coming, and I am experiencing it as it gnaws at my ears. I am experiencing. Dear future self, somehow everything is happening constantly and all the time, and I don't know how to stop it. Not even stop it. I don't know how to lay still at night, listening to the lullaby of my house settling, groaning, and I don't know how to accept the fact that my life will not stay exactly as it is forever. Sometimes it's a comforting thought, like the idea that you're not alone in any of your feats, that death is natural, that living is always. Sometimes it feels like I will never escape the bustling of what life is, the constant movement of... Anyway, I think our lives are forever because energy is never destroyed. If matter is what makes up everything and it's just energy moving so slowly, slow enough that we can see it, how can the energy and passions of our souls not contribute to the fabric of the universe? Sorry for the introspection, I just want you to know how important you are. Dear future self, do I ever get my license? What do I get on the SAT? Do I ever figure out what I want to major in? Is it hard to leave home? Do I leave the state? Am I still the same? Dear future self, is life everything I will pray it will be? Don't write back, actually. I'm afraid of that answer. Dear future self, who am I compared to you? Sometimes I look back on all of the years I've lived, the emotions I've felt, and some of the blinding and wrenching things that I've had to go through, and I think to myself, I deserve to be out of this mess. To my toddler and preteen selves, I deserve to be older. I deserve to know who I am. I deserve to be content and in control of my destiny. I think destiny is a funny word. You hiss and you end with a question, but there's an air of hope under the role of anxiety. Destiny. What's to come? Dear future self, another thing, similar to the weather and things I've already touched on, is how time can snake around you. Weeks go past before I realize the date. The sunset's hour fluctuates like a cardboard strip, stagnant and naked underneath a dusted and untouched bed frame. Somehow here I am 16 years old. I am older than I ever remember myself imagining to be and nothing like I thought I'd look. Or maybe exactly like I thought I'd look. But when I sit on the floor and I practice my lines for the month, my name and my age and the weather, just as a reminder, I accept my past and I love my confusion. I stutter into being seen and sigh into the waves of grief I feel, knowing that I am different now. I analyze everything. I see my world in graphs, questions, countdowns, future vision. I can see my destiny. Just ahead, not quite reachable, not quite mine. Dear future self, there should be more substance to what I write, I think. Is this interesting enough? Should I have more showy words, maybe? Conveying my meaning in the vaguest abyss, a shroud concealing what I've worked so diligently to unsheathe? Or maybe I should stick with this raunchy loose type where I say what I mean and I mean what I feel. Do you remember the underlying context of all of the phrases I'm writing? Have you read all the journals from my teenage years? Do you feel my emotions as you read them? Do you remember which pages I spilled coffee on? Dear future self, my mom keeps crying when she thinks about me going to college. And I hug her, my arms over hers and her head resting on my chest. This is a recurrent, but I don't want it to be. 6th grade sounds more appealing to me now than being 11th did to me in 6th, and I wish my shirts didn't smell like tears by the end of the night, but that's growing up. Dear future self, do I ever grow up? I mean, really grow up. Do I ever get over the things that I wish I could now? And I know that all the little high school things don't matter in the long run, but they still hurt. And they feel like my everything because they are. And I can't be blamed for it. I'm afraid no one will stand by me. I'm afraid I'm alone. Maybe that's normal. Maybe mourning old friendships and praying to get an A on my math test so that I could get my nose pierced is what's healthy for me right now. Maybe I should live in the moment. Dear future self, how do I walk away? Does rejection get easier? Am I happy? Are you happy? Is it true that I'm entirely immature, or am I afraid to be too mature, so I water myself down for the sake of others, and does that change? Dear future self, my mother is crying into my shirt again, but she's telling me that it's okay, and that the next few years will be hard, but that she can do it. Since I was a 13-year-old girl, I have been talking about how free it will feel to finally move out of the middle of nowhere and to start my life in the middle of someone else's nowhere. Still, now, I think that if I do not stay right where I am, my feet grounded and rotted and my welcome overstayed, that I will not make it, and I will take shriveling and shrinking and never growing up, my ideals forever unchanged. Dear future self, if you're reading this, it means that the work I'm putting in now is paying off. It means that at some point in time, I will no longer be waiting for July, Friday, 2:50 p.m., and the eventual change into not being so aware. I will be in a new stage of life, worrying about different things, having new opinions on old situations, accepting the past to be at peace with the now. Dear future self, thank you for growing. Thank you for changing. Thank you for looking back at me and smiling at my stupidity and the silly things I care about. Thank you for letting time go. Thank you for the flow of life. Thank you for being the person I wish to become. Dear future self, a few closing thoughts. I'll never stop writing. You are beautiful. Destiny's a funny word, with its harsh air and generic whimsy. Thank you for giving it meaning. Thank you for reading. Less experienced and more questioning you. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, my name is Emily, and I will be reading an excerpt from a short story that I wrote for children titled Touch the Sky. I hope you enjoy. The early morning sunrise showers the fertile forest floor. Brisk harvest air seeps into a small, cozy burrow. The crisp breeze tickles the nose of a particular little rabbit, one with ears like velvet and a tail as pearly as snow. Little Rabbit finds himself shivering as the first morning light tumbles into the burrow, creating a pool of luminescence. His little sister's warm body quivers beside him as she feels the misty air. Suddenly, she bounds to her small feet and scurries to the entrance of the burrow. She tilts her head up, allowing the warm sunlight to pour over her face and trickle down through her silky fur. "She's here!" she cries, whiskers trembling with adoration and excitement. "My sunshine has come to light my path and guide me through this new day." "Here she goes again," mutters Little Rabbit. "Big brother, look!" Little Rabbit's sister shrieks. "Look at the sun! My love is finally here. I can see her. How gorgeous!" The first rays of sunshine rise above the horizon across the meadow. "My love!" Little Rabbit turns away, stifling a gag. What is she thinking? She'll never catch the sun. The sun is not even alive. It certainly can't feel love. Little Rabbit lets out an exasperated huff. If only she wasn't such a dim-witted little thing. Then maybe she'd understand that life is far from a fairy tale. Little Rabbit's sister is quite an eccentric soul. She has always had a deep admiration for the sun. The bright, glorious being is everything to her, and Little Rabbit has grown tired of her constant fantasizing. As he emerges from the burrow, he finds his dreamy sister perched on a large tree stump, gazing with ocean eyes into the perpetual soft blue of the awakening sky. Little Rabbit's long, silken ears droop all the way down to his whiskers. Why is she so strange? Why doesn't she see that her dream will never come true, no matter how badly she wishes for it? He begins to creep towards the edge of the clearing, cleverly attempting to escape the awkward situations. If he hops quickly, he could escape to the meadow and finally indulge himself in the lush, rich grass. Are you okay, big brother? Where are you off to so early? Little Rabbit finds himself struggling to craft a good enough response. He stutters for a fleeting moment, then finally spews out, "You just need to think of things more realistically. Life is not a circus. There is no way the sun is going to reciprocate feelings of love, because it has no feelings. Why don't you understand that?" His sister sighs as sorrow swims in her sparkling eyes. "It's you who doesn't understand. I wish you could see the world like I do. Life may not be a circus, but my life could be." Little Rabbit blinks. "My life could be a musical," his sister sings out. "Or my life could be a painting." "I'm sorry, a what?" "A painting," says his sister as she gazes at the wide stretches of the bright light cascading over the horizon. Little Rabbit scratches his ears, wondering if he heard her correctly. Life could be a painting, just waiting to be painted. Little Rabbit looks up at her, perched on her tree stump, admiring the morning sun as it arises like a phoenix from ashes. His sister's tiny silhouette seems to glow against the dawn. Little Rabbit stares up at her with a mixture of envy and confusion. What if she was right? Was there a whole side of this world that he was missing? Little Rabbit's brain spins. "I guess I just don't get you," he mumbles to himself. "Everyone's life is their own journey," says his sister happily. "We all control our journeys. You can choose to take the easy road or the hard road. You can choose to eat all the daisies or leave a few for someone else. You might fall in love." She gazes up at the sun. "Or you might not." She turns back to her puzzled older brother. "Like I said, everyone forges their own journey and creates their own story. It's all a matter of choices." "Then what about me? What if I don't have a journey?" "Of course you do," giggles his sister. "You just haven't found a path you're ready to take." "What path?" shrieks Little Rabbit, beginning to panic. "And where's it going?" "I don't know," whispers his sister. "It's not my journey to take." Little Rabbit shivers with the idea of a hidden journey laying ahead of him. Dark folds of terror embrace him. Terrified, he bolts into the forest, away, yelling, "This is ridiculous!" Little Rabbit's sister giggles at her brother as she stares at the shower of golden light streaming through the sleepy sky. The sun's reflection glistens in dewdrops, freckling the cool green grass. Feeling tickled and warmed by the rays, Little Rabbit's sister smiles. "Silly big brother," she playfully scolds. She looks up at the sun, suspended in the enormous ocean of sky. "He doesn't understand us, does he?" She glances directly at the sphere of light and squints. Love might be blinding for the eyes, but never for the soul. She looks away and rubs her eyes. And if he wants to devote his journey to changing mine, he can try. But my journey is my journey, and he doesn't control me. She then hops down from her stump and ruffles her snowy fur. She bids the sun good morning and scampers off into the forest. Silly big brother. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name's Linnell. I'm so glad I did it. I made it. I'm so happy, but I'm terrified for the future. I feel like I had excuses before that I could always pull out of my pocket and get away with, but now I would look silly doing that. I'd look immature. I do not know when being an adult changed from an ideology to reality, but I can't say I like it. It's exciting in some sense, but it also seems like the stress and responsibilities never end. I swear to you, I'm still a kid pretending to do adult things. Growing up can't be real. No one has any answers on how to do it or what I have to do it right. How can humans have answers about places billions of light years away, but don't have any for something that happens to each and every one of us every day? My 18th birthday means saying goodbye. A lot. I don't want to say goodbye to my school friends who were easy to talk to because they knew me, they accepted me. I don't want to say goodbye to all the teachers retiring or moving. I don't want to say goodbye to my sophomore self who did not have to worry about college funds or a career that will be the rest of my life. I don't want to say goodbye to my part-time job where I work so I can buy vinyls and dresses and not so I can pay rent. I've been in school for over a decade. How can I leave the people, the places, and the lifestyle I've known for over a decade? I don't want to do it, but life does not stop for side graduates not ready for change. So what choice do I have other than to step directly into the revolving doors of adulthood? I don't know if I'll regret things or not, but if I never try anything, how would I know it's my happiness? Walking has the risk of falling now, running has the chance to finish last. My decisions can be placed in a diagram of causes and effects, except it's not just a paper diagram, it's my life. I can feel the flutter of dreams in my stride. There's so much hope it brings me to tears. The folded paper plane is thrown to fly. I hope it's ready. To see for itself what it thinks to be beautiful and to discover its passions. To not only feel the hate and disappointment, but to live it, to learn from it. Life surges and pulses and shivers and with shades of color. To graze your hand over velvet affections or be hurt by the coarse stones you walk on. Feeling the life around you, in you, makes us feel full. It's a purpose. Change is bad until it's good, and with goodbyes comes hellos. But I'll always remember the goodbyes.
Well, that's the show. Thank you so much for coming out and spending your night with us and supporting creative writing. If you'd like to donate to us to support purchases of classroom needs and trips that would benefit writing and to strengthen bonds, then please scan the QR code at the door.
Before we conclude the show, I would like to call up all of the performers tonight for a bow.
Yeah, I'm a woman. You can't. You're a woman too. So what?
I'm a man.
Give
my pronouns right. I don't do those pronouns.
Wait, these are both you.
I'm
These are both you. Okay.
You got pronouns?
So you two are you. Get on this thing. You got this juicy and your sweet balls. Wait, upside down, sorry. Wait.
Your sweet balls.
Wait.
Where's the arc?
You guys clap?
That was not a bow, but
Oh yeah.
thank you again for being here with us tonight. We've been the Creative Writing Program, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Have an amazing night and a safe drive home, and once more, thank you.